friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are continuing on with the spooky, whimsical, magical Halloween vibes, but instead of showing you plants, I wanted to go through my sort of spooky pot collection with y'all and show you the sort of fun pots I have in my collection. For the most part, I have like pretty generic. I'm a very minimalist person when it comes to my plant pots, my cash pots in my collection. I don't really like having anything too loud and out there, except when it comes to spooky things. So I have amassed a bit of a collection of them over the years, and I wanted to share those with you today and talk about the plants that I have in them and stuff. And I thought it'd be fun, so that's what's happening. Before I get into it though, I want to say if you're new here and you don't know me already, hi, my name is Emma and I make houseplanty content all over the internet. So if you want to follow along with my houseplanty journey and maybe learn something along the way, stick around, watch some more of my videos, and subscribe to my channel. If you are not new here, welcome back. I really appreciate it. Let us get straight on into it, because I mean, I've got some really cool pots here. I am going to start off with this first one that you can see right here. It is probably one of the first ones that I actually got. I got this my first Halloween in the UK. And actually, I should also say that I'm not going to be able to link any of these pots because I've just like slowly amassed them over the years of living here. And for the most part, I have gotten them around spooky season and Halloween, typically in... Actually, I feel like I got a lot of these in like Morrison's because I haven't seen them this year, but sometimes they sell plants in planters already, and this was one of those plants. I think it came with some sort of succulent in it or something, and I promptly killed that succulent because I wasn't and still am not very great at taking care of succulents, but I'm pretty sure it was like 5 or 10 pounds for the succulent and the pot. When I would pay money for this pot on its own, it is just a ceramic sort of white skull pot, and I currently have inside of it my El Choco Red, which is doing so much better, by the way. I feel like it's actually picking up in growth. The newest leaf on it has just come out, and it is looking so much nicer than the previous one. You can see the previous one got like really ripped. Both of those two there got really ripped, and just have been having a bad time. But I think it's doing better now, not growing super leggy or anything, and I really like the vibe it has in this pot. It's just a bit of fun, and I feel like the backs of the leaves kind of make it even spookier with this sort of really like blood red color on them, so it just makes for a really cool pot. I have in the past put things like pothos in pots like this and made it kind of look like hair. I have stopped kind of doing that now. So not only do I have this one in the sort of white color, I also have it in black. I'm pretty sure I went back like the next day and I was like, I actually really wanted the black one as well. And so I got myself the black one. This one's a little bit more difficult to see that it is a skull pot. It's slightly more minimal in its vibe. And this one I have actually broken and glued back together because I love this pot so much that I couldn't accept that it was smashed. Luckily, it only smashed in like 2 big bits, so just the back of it came off. But I feel like it kind of adds to the spooky vibe now because it's kind of like Frankensteined. But in this one, I have my giant Burley Marks variegated plant. This one is doing really well. It is such a weird grower for me. I find that it just like exponentially branches out from every single growth point. It decides it wants to keep growing. And so it kind of gets really bushy really quickly. That being said, mine is super duper leggy. There's loads of internodal space in there just because I've not had it in the brightest of spots. I've not really been paying that much attention to it, and so it hasn't been getting the ideal conditions. Also, the leaves haven't really sized up that much, so I feel like if I were to put this one into a better spot, better conditions, probably more light, it would bounce up a little bit more. But this is like more of the sort of slightly more hairy looking of a plant inside of it. But I think it's cool. And these, like I said, were my first sort of Halloween-y, spooky pots because, I mean, when they're so cheap from Morrison's, how can you freaking not? Similarly, I'm pretty sure I got this vessel here from Poundland. I know, I've just got so many skulls. I just think skulls are really cool. So this is a jar from Poundland. It was £1 and it had a little stopper with lights in it. I think it was meant to be used as Halloween decor, but I use it as a little prop vessel. You can see I've got a water prop thing going on in here. It is just my lemon lime pothos, not pothos, philodendron lemon lime, that's what it's called. I've just got that in here and it is rooting well. It's probably time to pot up pretty soon. The only downside of this skull thing is that it's got quite a small bottleneck, so I need to make sure I don't put anything too big in there. I can't really put thick stem things in this sort of zone because it just doesn't work, and if the roots get really, really big, it gets hard to take out. But I just feel like this is the perfect sort of dark gray glass color as well, so it's still like see-through. You can still see the roots going on inside of it, but it's still on the blacker side. It's not just clear, because I feel like when they're clear, they're slightly more difficult to see the sort of design on of the like actual skull shape. I do have a few more skull things, but I'm gonna depart from them for a second and show you this one. I feel like this is more like celestial witchy vibes. It is my moon phase pot, where it goes from crescent to half moon to gibbous to full moon and back again, just in this sort of like gold foily thing on a black pot. And this one's actually a really hard pot to find things for because it is quite squat, and I feel like most nursery pots are quite tall, but my curlicue jungle cactus, or is it Guatemalense? I will put it on the screen. I just call it my curlicue jungle cactus, is in here, and I love the sort of weird vibes it creates. See, this is a plant that I would talk about that looks like hair. If I put it in one of those skull pots, it would look like a weird sort of dreadlocks hairdo, but this is one of the only plants that actually fits well into this pot because of the size of the nursery pot in it. So I really struggle to find the right things for this pot, and this one just happens to be it. Typically though, I would prefer if the moons on it were silver. That's more my sort of color palette. I'm a cool toned gal, and the moon is silverier than it is gold, so this isn't necessarily my favorite, but I do think it's cool and sort of witchy, celestial kind of vibes. So it's a very fun one. Another one, which I kind of made to look the way I want. This one again is from Morrison's. I love that they used to do this. So this was, I think, last year near Halloween. They had this one and a couple others, but this is just a little cauldron pot. It's even got like little feet on it, which is so freaking adorable. I love it. I think it is so cool and cute and different from all of the other pots I have. I really like, because if you look at it from the side, you kind of wouldn't know that it's a cauldron, but then it has these like little handle details in there, which are really freaking cute. And the bottom already came with little like surface protector pad things, so it doesn't scratch my surfaces or anything, which is great. In this, I have a combo pot of my wax ivy plants, some sort of Senecio. I've got just the plain green one, but then also some of the variegated one in here. And I joined all of them together, but I really like how it kind of looks like it's bubbling over almost in the pot, where it's kind of overflowing like a sort of witch's potion brew thing. I feel like it just really suits this pot, and it makes me quite happy. It's just super cute. At the same time, I bought that one. Again, it had like some sort of succulent in it, which I bought those right before the plant swap last year, so I brought those succulents to the plant swap and just like swapped them away. But I bought that one at the same time as this skull. This is a smaller skull size than the other ones that I got from Morrison's, and it's more of a matte tone. It's not that sort of shiny ceramic that the other ones have been. But again, it's another really cute one. I've just got a little felt bush in here, which is really cool and fuzzy and growing really freaking well. I'm super duper proud of this plant. I was able to grow it from a single leaf cutting and get it to sprout, which I think is really cool. And it being a sort of more succulent-y thing, it's just exciting for me. I think it's a Calancho. Yeah, Calancho beharensis is what this one is. Ooh, I've dropped a leaf. Where did it go? Yeah, just, I mean, I could probably prop that leaf, but I am not gonna do that. Also, look how freaking cute my nails are. I've done them for Halloween. I know this is not a blood red, but this is the closest to blood red I have. I only have one red color and it's this. But I thought they were cute and a little bit spooky. Just a little adorable skull pot thing. Another propagation vessel I have, which is semi witchy spooky, is I actually have a bunch of these sort of apothecary jars, which to me look like potion bottles, like what you would get in a sort of fantasy like video game or whatever. If you were getting like a healing potion or something, I feel like they would come in something like this. And this is the only one I'm using at the minute. The rest of them are in my cupboard, but in it I have propping just some variegated jade satin cuttings in water. And these are like brand new. I only put them in on the 7th of October. And so they haven't really rooted in yet. But again, this is a nice vessel because plant roots, especially in water, they do prefer it if the vessel doesn't let too much light in. Roots in general will grow better in the dark. And so having something that's a shaded jar is really good, but it's still translucent, so I can still see the root growth in there. But I just feel like it's just a little bit spooky, ever so slightly spooky. Oh, okay, yeah, I've got two more, I think. Yeah, two more. This one is one of my all-time favorite pots, and I'm counting this as spooky because it kind of gives me dystopian, the world has been overrun by plants vibes. It is this half face planter. I don't remember where I got this one, but I think this was one that was like a bit more expensive. I found it in like some random online shop or something. But it is like solid cement in here and very heavy actually, and kind of not the best for planting because it's very wide, and so finding a plant that fits in it nicely is kind of difficult. But I've just got a Synapsis exotica in here, and to me this just looks like a statue that has fallen over in like post-apocalyptic times. The statue has fallen over and the head's broken off and a plant has started to grow from the sort of remains around it. That's the sort of vibe that I get from this one. And so while it does not super duper spooky, just the whole like story behind it in my head, that's a bit more on the spooky side. And so I do really like this one. And he's kind of got like a nice side do right now with the Synapsis in there. And then the last one, it's not actually a pot, but a plant stake. A little spooky plant stake that I use year round. This is one that I got from, I think, Poundland a year or two ago. And it is this glow in the dark skeleton hand giving a thumbs up. And it is, I think it's originally meant to go in your sort of yard or garden and you pop it in the soil. It's got a little stake bottom in there. You pop it in the soil and so it looks like a hand is reaching out from underneath the earth. But I've just put it in my potted plant because I think it looks really cool. And only recently have I figured out that it would make a perfect stake, especially for something like a begonia that needs support but doesn't need to like root into something, that just needs something to hold it up. And so I have put my begonia, what's it called, Thurstonii on here. Unfortunately, when I was doing so, I broke off this one, but I have a feeling this will re-root just fine, or not re-root, re-sprout just fine. And the bit that I broke off, I'm propagating to put back in here and just have it in this container. And what's really cool is when it gets a little bit taller, I can put the stems inside the fingers here, like that, and it'll look like it's holding them up, which is super freaking cute and like really cool and spooky. And like I said, I use this year round. I use all of these pots year round. I don't just exclusively pull them out for Halloween. I think I'm just generally a little bit of a spooky girl. That's just who I am. And so I just like having this out, and it is fun that it glows in the dark as well, because of course I need to see my Begonia thurstonii in the middle of the night when I can't see anything else, because that's totally the most important thing on my mind in the middle of the night. So I just think it's really cool that I've been able to find a new use for this other than just decor. But I feel like you can get creative with these sort of pots, especially if you're buying things around this time of year from, like, I feel like the places I would shop for stuff like this would be like grocery stores, Poundland, the dollar store kind of places, Target, if we had Target in the UK, we don't, as well as like places like Primark Home, Zara Home, H&M Home. All of those kind of places will have stuff like this, and maybe you're getting a mug or a cooking vessel or something that looks like a pumpkin, or candle. Candles are great. A candle jar that looks like a pumpkin. When you run out of the candle, use it as a plant pot. So like you can kind of recycle things like that and make sure that they continue to get use after their like original intended life is up. So it's just really cool. I'm glad that I was able to make this useful in the end. Not that I really cared about it being useful or not. I was perfectly happy just having it out in my collection, but it makes it ever so slightly more fun if it does have a use. So yeah, those are all of my fun. Oh no, I have one more. Oh my goodness, I almost freaking forgot this little adorable thing. So I have a skull jar that I use as a terrarium. I think I made this into a terrarium last year, and to be honest, the plant inside here is not doing phenomenally, and I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it in there, but inside here I have a miniature version of Mother of Thousands. I've basically just used it as a little terrarium, and this one I got from a charity shop. So that's another great place you can get things like this. Or I think there's like I don't know if it's a tequila or a vodka or something that you can get in a skull jar. Those could be used as propagation vessels as well. So there are really cool options out there, and it is fun just to have these little spooky things around my house because they make me happy. So that is it. Those are all of my fun, cool, spooky, witchy, ethereal, celestial plant pots and vessels and propagation things and stakes and whatever. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I would also be curious to see some of your sort of creations, whether it's a plant pot you've painted, something you found, something you recycled, something you bought. Show me. Shoot me a message on Instagram because I think they're really cool and I love to get more ideas when it comes to fun, spooky pots. So yeah, I do want to see them. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up down below and leave a comment on other houseplanty things you'd like me to talk about in the future, and subscribe for more. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you next time. Don't forget to keep growing. Bye!